Well, in today's segment, we want to talk about lectins. To lectin or not to lectin, that is the question. Are lectins good for you, yes or no? So what are lectins? Lectins are naturally occurring proteins that bind to your carbohydrates, and we need them. They're excellent for and needed for plant growth because they come in as to ward off the predators. Lectins are naturally occurring in plants. They are proteins that bind to carbohydrates, and they act to ward off predators. They are a defense system in and of themselves. So they ward off the bacteria, the fungus, they ward off insects, and they're antiviral. So they have all of these protective mechanisms. They're like having your own Terminator in a plant to help it to grow. So the plants can grow and be strong and healthy, and then we eat the plants and we can grow and be strong and healthy. And so God has put them in the plants for a reason. So all of this, let's get rid of lectins, I needed to understand, for me, why would they be so damaging if they're naturally occurring in the plants, and so many of them? Know that they are antioxidants. So one thing, yes, they are good for the plant growth, but they're also good as an antioxidant. What is an antioxidant? Helping to keep the cells from being destroyed. That keeps us from illnesses and premature aging, which we are all concerned about. So that's the good of lectins. What else are lectins good for? Well, we know that they can slow digestion and carbohydrate absorption. Well, that is good for people who are diabetic. That would help, since the carbohydrates are slowly absorbed, then you don't get these spikes in your blood sugar levels, and or better blood glucose control, which is the ideal goal for any diabetic. We also know that they can help stimulate digestion by producing pancreatic enzymes and bile. Well, pancreatic enzymes and bile are needed for digestion. And we know that low amounts of the non-toxic lectins can help to stimulate gut cell growth for people who cannot eat for long periods of time. We know that they have an anti-tumor activity about them, which could be involved with cancer prevention. We also know that lectins play a role in the immune system, but they also play a role in just helping your cells to function normally. So that's a lot of good about lectins, and that's why I was concerned, why would we not want to include lectins in our diet with all of these good things that lectins provide for us as far as our health goes? But now there is another side of the picture. So that's the good. Let's look at the ugly. We also know that lectins can trigger an autoimmune response, and that possibly could lead to type 1 diabetes and or non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, and also rheumatoid arthritis. Now, if you have dysfunctional enzymes, then also taking in lectins can aggravate that condition because of the intestinal damage, because in the intestines, we have absorption of our nutrients, so you can suffer nutrient deficiencies. So now, what I want to cover now is what can you do and what perspective should you have regarding these lectins, whether you should or shouldn't, yes or no, to lectin or not to lectin. That is the question. Well, we know that if you boil, bake, roast, even pressure cooking, although I prefer the boiling and the baking and the roasting because you can get the temperatures up higher. Fermentation, sprouting. Foods that are low in lectin include pasture-raised meats, cooked sweet potatoes, leafy green vegetables, cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, garlic, onion. A2 milk is 100% real cow's milk from grain and grass-fed cows, and it's easier on digestion and may help some avoid discomfort. So in a wrap-up, the take-home message is was that there really isn't strong evidence that you should not have a diet with lectins or that you can't eat lectins. And the way we would normally eat the plant foods that we eat, we don't eat them in such high amounts that it would be problematic. However, with that being said, if you have an underlying or a diagnosed digestive issue such as irritable bowel syndrome, it would probably go well for you to reduce your amount of lectin. There it is, you have it, to lectin or not to lectin. You've got a good base now. And I hope you got a lot from the information. I post the diet and health, or what I call the after party, where I talk a little bit more intimately about areas of diet and health, on Thursday, early evenings, and on Wednesday, I do the cooking show. I always want to serve to you good living and share me with your family and friends. I'm Das, I'm out, but I will see you next show.